What is up, and welcome back to the W Sports Podcast. We got Jimothy and Tubby are back again to talk all the college football updates. It's rivalry week. Plus, we have some division races in the NFL that it is time to make some predictions as we have just a few weeks left, and there are some teams literally on fire right now in a good way. So, Tubby, welcome back to the show.
What's up? It was a good Thursday. It was
a great
Thanksgiving. I mean, food. And then we'll get to it in a little bit. I was pretty excited about one game yesterday.
Yeah, well, you got to mention it's your Packers. Absolutely, I would say they dominated the game, not in the sense of like it was out of control, but like they were the better team yesterday. Again,
they were.
So, yeah, we'll get to that. Well, we're going to start today with a little bit of the college football news. I mean, as we're speaking right now, you got Rivalry Week has already started with Iowa, Nebraska. Obviously, you have Ole Miss, Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. And this is a pretty big one because after this one, there's an expected decision pretty quick on the Lane Kiffin status. And right as we hit record this morning, there was news update from the Florida University that was just saying, hey, we're going to move on from Lane Kiffin. So it seems like it's LSU or Ole Miss. So what better way to start than the Egg Bowl, which is currently 14-7 as we're recording right now. And Lane Kiffin, can he get the win, and will he stay, Tubby?
So I think they'll get the win. Stay? I doubt it. I think that it's LSU. I feel like if he had already made the decision to stay at Ole Miss, he would have already came out with that and not let it overshadow this game and the potential of being in the SEC championship next week. I think the fact that he's dragging it out, I think the writing's on the wall that he's made up his decision. And I mean, like I said, there was the report last week where there's pictures of his son walking around in an LSU t-shirt. So,
yeah.
I mean, it could have been, but I think that's what it is. And I was having this discussion with someone this morning about the potential ramifications of Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss now. Because more than likely he won't coach out the rest of the season into the playoffs because he has to get on the recruiting front for LSU because early signing period is either Tuesday or Wednesday of this coming week. So he's going to have to jump on that fast to start recruiting and try to keep guys or try to, sway some guys to, go to LSU. What happens when it comes to the college football playoff rankings? I imagine, they win, they're in because of their record, but does this now affect them potentially having a home playoff game, compared to, playing on the road? Because they don't just take in consideration the resume of everything. They take in consideration, injured players, healthy players, coaches. Now you take out Lane Kiffin, who is arguably the best offensive play calling coach in college football, with a not so great defense. How does that offense look now without him calling the plays? And does that affect Ole Miss potentially hosting the game or having to go on the road against someone, and then because we've seen it with players. I mean, Florida State, go back a couple years without Jordan Travis, they went undefeated, don't make the playoffs. Not saying that'll happen to Ole Miss where they won't make the playoffs, but I am curious to see if it drops them down the rankings to where now they're not hosting the game, to where they're going to have to go on the road and fight for their, fight their way through the playoffs, starting on the road instead of at home.
Yeah, well, and look at Florida State. They have not rebounded since that day. It has been brutal for them. Yeah, I think Mississippi State, they win today, they should be in. I think you're right. I think that's the way that the committee kind of balances out, hey, you just lost your head coach, which is a big deal. I kind of wish that college football, and I know you can't because it's too big, but I kind of wish that they would have the transfer window and the head coaching higher window for 2 weeks post the end of the season, not regular season, but the end of the season, which I think that would just make it better for some of these schools. I mean, it's not fair for Ole Miss as a university to have to deal with this, and that's just the reality of college football.
Yeah, that's another thing that I was talking about. It's like and I mentioned it last week on the podcast about why can't we move it to after the actual national signing day in February. And the argument is, oh, the players can't enroll in school and they can't start school in January. Okay, but that's their decision. They made that decision to leave the school that they're at. They are not upholding their end of the deal by committing to the normal school that they had originally committed to. So you're transferring, now you don't get those benefits. I mean, we saw it with the May transfer portal where they don't get the spring practices, they don't get to enroll early, and they've done away with that. But why should we disrupt the middle of the playoffs because college football can't figure out how to move the transfer portal or the coaches and all this stuff? Because now you are affecting the potential of Ole Miss and how they perform in the playoffs with the potential of their head coach leaving in the middle of that and having to have a new head coach, an interim head coach, a new play caller on the offensive side of things. And then also you are forcing these players to make a decision that are in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen it year in, year out. These guys that, sit on the bench, but what happens if the injuries happen during those games? And now you're going from, the third, second string guy now down to the third, potentially the fourth, depending on if the third string guy stayed. They have to figure out a way to fix this because it's not good for college football right now. Like, you can still have the early signing period, for recruiting and whatever. I get that. But, at least if you push back the coaching, it now gives those players that did sign early, and if the coach does leave, they have the free waiver where they can, decommit and they can now look at other schools in February. So I think that you shouldn't reward the players for transferring, going, oh, okay, yeah, you can transfer right here in the middle of the playoffs, and that way you can enroll in your spring, for the spring semester. Sorry, you don't get those benefits because you decided to leave.
Yeah. Well, I think the more this has gone into a money-centered, sport where athletes can get paid, obviously coaches are getting paid like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take steps towards what Major League Baseball or what NFL and even NBA have done, just putting it in these like brackets. Hey, this is when you can do it. But you see it time and time again where these coaches are going to leave for a different, maybe a step up. And you're just thinking like, man, this is really messing it up. And all you have to do is say, hey, you cannot make these hires. And I get like there's a blitz of like coaches that get fired and have to be hired. But if everyone has to do it and there's tampering and all this other kind of stuff that you can't do, then at least that's a step in the right direction and better for the game. There's so many things that have evolved for college football over the last 20 years. This is one of those next steps. They still got to figure out the whole NIL. And I think, I don't know yet, but it does feel like even the transfer window, we've kind of – it's not everybody in there. There's some guys who think they're going to get more money, but it's not the same Wild West that it was the first few windows, which is nice. I mean, there's still going to be a lot of players who enter the transfer portal, but we have to, evolve even the head coaching piece, which I think has been just neglected as a conversation piece.
Yeah,
for stuff like this. So, well, let's just jump into this right here. We have some game predictions that we'll get to here in a second. But before we do that, just talk about some coaches. Oklahoma State hires a new coach in Morris from North Texas. Give a grade to that hire, Tubby.
I give this one an A. I love this hire. This was one of the guys on the short list that I had, once they fired Gundy. I thought that it would be Zach Robinson, but this was the other option that I thought they would go with. I think it's a great hire because there's a potential that you bring a quarterback with you. And it's a quarterback that kind of came out of nowhere this year and, wasn't recruited, walk on, was 0 stars. And so it's always good whenever you have a coach that can potentially bring along a quarterback that has shown the ability to be a good college player. So I think that definitely helps OSU out, and he knows the area, so he's going to be able to recruit the area very well. I think this was the right decision for them, young up-and-coming head coach going to a spot that, really needs some help.
Well, and I think it's winnable, at least if you build the right program. And I think it's actually a good sign for Oklahoma State to not go with Zach Robinson, even though, like you said, the ties are there. But that's part of the problem that Oklahoma State has had for 20-plus years. True. They need to do something a little bit new, and hopefully Morris is the guy to take that team in the right direction because since they made it to the Big 12 championship game against Texas, that team has not won a college football, for a PPR game. It just can't.
Yeah.
Cannot. Crazy.
Nah.
The other one, Colorado State hires Mora from one of our favorite independents, UConn.
Yeah.
How do you think about that hire? Is this actually a step up, or I mean, they're going to the Pac-12 now, so.
I don't know how I feel about that. For Mora's sake of it, I don't know if it's really a step up. I mean, Colorado State's been pretty bad the last couple of years. UConn's been decent. So I don't know if it's really a step up. I think it's more of a lateral move. Yeah, Colorado State is going to the Pac-12, but it's not really the Pac-12. It's just the Mountain West with a few old Pac-12 teams thrown in there.
Yeah, the ones that got left over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I can't get it. I don't know that Jim Moore is the guy who wants to go coach. The blue blood. If that makes sense. Maybe he does. You just don't get that feeling from him a whole lot. So I find it surprising that he does make the step maybe to the side a little bit, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think for Colorado State, it's a great hire. This guy's done a good job with a bad football team since they left the Big East. They have not been a competitive team, and they weren't really competitive back then either. But they at least had a shot.
Yeah.
So, all right. Prediction for Lane Kiffin? Where do you think he goes?
I think it's LSU.
Okay, which I agree. And so that leads to the next thing. Who does Ole Miss go after next?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I haven't really. I think. I mean, I would say Summerall, but will there be enough time for them to go after him? Depending, because it sounds like Summerall is making his decision on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, I'm not quite sure who you would go after at that point.
Yeah.
That's a tough decision. Do they go, with a name, someone that's had experience, or do they go with like an offense coordinator, maybe someone like Colin Klein from Texas A&M?
Yeah, and I think that's got to be what they have to do. They have to look at who has one of the more successful coordinator roles so far this last year against good talent, and then maybe go after that one. The good news is for Oklahoma, it's not going to be Ben Arbuckle, who I think we were worried about after week 3. Like, oh no, don't do that well, and then it just doesn't happen. So Penn State, any indicators that you think there should be for that one? Because they just seem like they're not coming up with a whole lot.
So, I mean, there's Chesney from JMU that's getting a lot of traction with Penn State, but the one that intrigues me the most is Kalen DeBoer, just because would he really leave Alabama to go to Penn State? Is he just kind of fed up with the fact that people are calling for his job after year 1 because they didn't perform to Nick Saban's standards, which we knew was not going to happen. No one's going to be able to be Nick Saban. Nick Saban is Nick Saban for a reason. He's the greatest college football coach for a reason. And the fact is, you do have those high standards because of him, but you're never going to find that guy that's going to be able to replace Nick Saban and do what Nick Saban did. And you have a chance, win out, you're in the playoffs. The fact that people are still calling for his job is kind of crazy to me. And maybe it's wearing on him. Maybe he's like, hey, let me go somewhere where maybe it won't be as rough. And I can go to the Big Ten and have it. I've shown that I can win in the Big Ten.
Have you heard any of the news about Lincoln Riley wanting to go?
I've heard that.
How believable is that? Or do you think, no, he's at USC?
I think he's at USC. I don't think he leaves. He seems like he's made for that life now, so I don't see him taking that job.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Did you see, speaking of USC, did you see the Dan Lanning's hype, locker room talk before they left? And he said, we're wearing all black because we're going to a Trojan funeral.
Yeah, that's all right.
That was sick. I was like, yeah, let's go, Dan Lanning. Come on.
And then after the game, I was like, okay. After he was bashing the SEC because they were playing cupcakes, I'm like, dude, let's look at your schedule real quick.
They have not had a tough schedule.
Show me your non-conference schedule real quick, and we can compare it. And then just your regular season schedule too. Yeah, I get you don't have control over that, but you really played no one. You had the Indiana schedule from last year. You played one tough team and you lost.
Yep. Yeah,
so,
that's what I think will be interesting.
That's cool.
Are they a one and done in the playoff out of the Big Ten this year? I don't know. We'll see. I think obviously you still have what does the Big Ten championship game look like? And we'll do a couple quick predictions here as we go into this last section of this. But any other head coaching news that you want to make sure we hit before we go into some of the rivalry weekend game predictions?
It'll be interesting to see out of the Florida and Auburn situation, who's the one left looking after this weekend. Because, like I said, it sounds like Summerall has made his decision. It's either staying with Tulane, which I don't think will happen, but Florida or Auburn, if one of those don't, if they don't get their guy, then what direction do they go? Because we know both those teams are also in the Lane Kiffin, conversation. Where does it go from there? Which one loses out and now is on their third option?
Yeah.
And having to try to decide, where they go from there. Do you try to poach a coach from somewhere else, or do you go with the up and coming offense coordinator or defense coordinator or something that could potentially move you along and give you a little bit longer leash than you would if you were an old head coach that has had experience, but you lose early on the first couple of years and then you're out. So it'll be interesting to see what direction both those teams go if they miss out on John Summerall.
Well, the good news is one of those coaches who just moved to new school, Franklin, over at Virginia Tech has already made some flips from Penn State to Virginia Tech. Look at that.
Dudes are already recruiting. Watch out, ACC.
Yeah, well, I know. That's good. So, all right, well, let's move on to some predictions. Today, we still have Georgia versus Georgia Tech. This is in Georgia Tech in Atlanta. So, who you got, Tubby?
I'm gonna stick with Georgia. I think they are the best team in college football right now. Georgia Tech seems like they are on the struggle a little bit the last few weeks. I think Georgia goes in, takes care of business, and moves on to the SEC championship game, and puts themselves in that conversation. Depending on what happens in the Big Ten, potentially being one of the top teams, top four teams.
Georgia Tech 9-2, but they easily could be 7-4 right now. They've had some close calls. So I agree with you on that. Georgia is the best team. I think followed up by Ohio State is where I kind of figure right now based off the balance.
Too.
Texas A&M. I mean, I don't like this. It's a Friday game, which I don't like. But who you got? This one is in Texas.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one. The line, I'm surprised as close as it is, 2.5. I mean, I think A&M wins this game. I think their defense is too good. I see a lot of what's going to happen, that happened in the Georgia game to Arch Manning going to happen in this game also. He may start out good, throwing a bunch of little short passes, but when it comes down to the time where he has to be that guy, put the team on his back, I think he will falter. And I think A&M gets the win and continues their undefeated season.
I kind of want A&M to win this one, but if you look at this team has had kind of an Oregon schedule. They beat Notre Dame on the road, but they beat them by 1. A&M did. They beat Missouri without Perdue, and that's the toughest 2 games. I'm just saying. That's the toughest 2 games up until Texas. So Texas has had a tougher schedule. I don't know how much belief I have for the championship run for Texas A&M as I had maybe a couple of weeks ago, just seeing what they've done. So, and they should have lost to South Carolina. I still don't know how that happened.
They absolutely should. But I think the thing that gives me more confidence in A&M is when it comes down to the quarterback play. I can trust Marcel Reed more than I can Arch Manning.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I can't pick Texas, so here we are.
Yeah.
All right, we have the night game today is Arizona State. I don't know if you saw the field. The reason why I want to bring this one up, this game doesn't have a whole lot of playoff implications, but their field, did you see Arizona State's field?
I did not.
So you should search on X or whatever you want to, but they got the face of the Arizona Sun Devil. It's darker grass in the field, so it's not like it's a cool look because it's like the whole field. It's like just his face. So I thought it was pretty clever design. So
let's see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, I think I saw ESPN. I think had like an X article, or maybe it's Bleacher Report. I can't remember. But yeah, it's cool. You won't see it like if you're like looking right like close, but if you look for it, you'll be like, oh, nice. It's a good touch.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. But all that said, give me no Fafita and give me Arizona to make the upset.
Yeah, because I mean the Sam Levitt situation. We don't know what's going on there. Yeah, give me Fafita and Arizona to take. I mean, right now, Arizona is favored by 2.5 points. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been. I feel like Arizona has been playing pretty well lately.
So. They have, yeah.
Yeah. All right, who you got? Michigan, Ohio State tomorrow morning.
Man.
Can he make it 5 in a row?
I mean, can Ryan Day get the monkey off his back? It is the question.
Mm-hmm.
Does Michigan have enough offense? It seems like anytime they do find offense, this is the game. This is the game that they find it. I'm going to take Ohio State. I cannot put money. I can't bet on Michigan to win a game with the offense that they have. I know Underwood has played a lot better.
They did it last year, dude.
Yeah, they absolutely did. But I don't think the defense this year for Michigan is near as good as it was last
year. Yeah,
and
we talk about easy schedules. This Ohio State schedule is a joke. So
and that's where I had the hesitancy not picking Michigan because Michigan has played people. Michigan has went on the road and played people. Ohio State has played no one, and that's the one thing that I have reservations. Them being number one and everyone talking like they are absolutely the team to beat. They haven't beat anyone to prove to me that they are the team to beat. That's why I think Georgia is clearly the best team in college football right now because they have had to play teams that are good. And Ohio State has not had to do that. And this is the first test, really. And it comes at the time where it's a rivalry game where Ryan Day cannot win these games. And so it makes it even more like, can I really pick Ryan Day to get the monkey off his back in this game? But I'm going to just because I don't think Michigan's defense is as good as it has been in the past. And their offense may be slightly better, but I still think that with Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate both playing in this game, unlike last week, that it's going to be just a little too much for Michigan to overcome on the offensive side of things.
Well, Ohio State has given up 84 points this year. That's it. Yeah. Absolutely insane. We talk about pretty rough like breakdowns. The game, it's going to be cold. It's going to be like 32. Give me Michigan just to pull the upset. Just make it 5 in a row. I think it's a toss-up in this game. It's such a rivalry game, but I do see Michigan taking. And what's crazy is if they win, I don't think – I'm trying to find a scenario where they can make the Big Ten championship. Can they make the Big Ten championship game? Or is it pretty much Oregon and Ohio State or Indiana?
How many – do they have one loss in conference?
They have one.
I think that they would have a shot, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that they still have a shot if they win this game. It might depend on what happens in like the other couple of games, but
Indiana should be Purdue, so
they would have the tiebreaker over Ohio State.
Yeah,
but then Oregon, they would need Oregon probably to lose that game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah, against Washington, I don't know that'll happen, but it is a rivalry game. So
hey, don't count out Washington and Demond.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to the next one. Alabama versus Auburn. Who you got, Tebby?
This is another game where you just never know what's going to happen in this game. Give me Auburn for the upset.
Auburn for the upset. Okay, I'll take Alabama. I think this is a bounce-back game. Honestly, I think Alabama, if they're not going to run the ball in the playoffs, but if they could, this would be the team I wouldn't want to play. But give me Alabama. I just don't trust Auburn, man. I can't.
I'm going to say that we're going to see the same Ty Simpson. Granted, Auburn's defense isn't on the level of Oklahoma's, but it's pretty darn good. We're going to see the same Ty Simpson where he makes the mistakes. And then with the potential of the Kalen DeBoer, floating around the Penn State situation, just enough to throw Alabama off their game tomorrow. And Auburn gets the upset and pushes Alabama out of the playoffs.
That'd be incredible. That's what you call rivalry weekend right there. What about Miami and Pitt? Can Miami do they win this one to at least give themselves a shot?
Yeah, I think so. Pitt starting if they're starting the same quarterback as they did last week, I think Miami wins this game. But I mean, it's hard to really put any hope in Miami lately. I mean, this team should not be where they're at right now with the roster that they have. They should be one of the top 5 teams in college football right now. So if they lost this game, would I be shocked, man?
There's a realistic chance that Duke who is 6-5 on the year. Yes, they're 5-2 in the conference, but they're 6-5. They could be playing in the ACC championship game next week. We'll see what happens.
Is that not wild to think?
I don't know what their non-conference schedule was like, but I'm like, how?
It was not hard. I looked it up last week, I believe, whenever there was this conversation, and it was not. Tulane. Yeah, Tulane. I guess you can give some, but Illinois, no. I mean, look where Illinois is. That's what I say. The schedule was not hard, and the fact that they lost so many games out of conference was wild.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. Who you got in the Virginia Tech game?
Virginia.
So that means we can lock Virginia in the ACC title game. I don't know how it's going to work out with SMU. I don't know even who they're playing this week. Who's SMU playing? Because if they win, then according to your prediction so far,
they play Cal. At Cal.
Ooh, that's a tough road trip.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, let's get to Oklahoma versus LSU.
OU's winning this game. Garrett Nussmeier's not playing. You're out two of your top wide receivers also. You got a quarterback in Michael Van Buren that's started like a handful of games in his career, going up against this defense in Norman with the shot at the playoffs on the line. This defense isn't going to give up a whole lot. The LSU offense has been bad all year. Yeah. And now you bring in arguably the best defense in college football, especially against the run. When LSU can't run the football, it's going to be a long night for Michael Van Buren and LSU.
Does Blake Shapen score?
Blake Shapen, he plays for Mississippi State.
Wait, no. What's the tight end? I'm mixing up the name.
Oh, Bowers Sharp.
Bowers Sharp. Thank you.
No, they ain't allowing Bowers. They ain't allowing Bowers Sharp to score.
I think he gets in the end zone just once. Just once.
All the trash that he's talked after he left Oklahoma, that defense is not allowing him to get the ball in the end zone. Yeah. They will do everything in their might to not allow that to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, well, let's move on to the NFL. Oh, wait, sorry. I forgot Vandy, Tennessee.
Give me Tennessee.
Okay. I believe in Tennessee more than I believe in Vandy, but
I do too.
I want to see the upset.
Yeah, I want to see Diego win because he's fun for college football, but I don't trust that Vandy defense.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. All right, well, in that case, let's move on to the NFL. We had 3 games yesterday. We have 1 today. Bengals stormed back. We'll start with that game because they surprisingly won over the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson just not looking great. And as it stands right now, the Steelers are 6-5 and lead the AFC North. This is a close division race to the Bengals. 3 losses back, have a legitimate chance with Joe Burrow back to make a run at the division because it is wide open. I don't think Baltimore is as good as we thought.
Yeah, no, I think so. If with Joe Burrow back, absolutely, this offense becomes next level. I mean, we saw it last night. How much better that offense is with Joe Burrow on the field. Chase Brown looks better. Jamar Chase looks better. When T. Higgins is healthy, T. Higgins looks better. This offense is so dangerous when he's on the field that with the other teams not being great, absolutely gives them a chance to find a way to at least put themselves in that conversation to win this division.
Yeah, who do you think wins it? Because they're so far back, do you think Pittsburgh or Baltimore find a way to eke it out?
I think it depends on the Aaron Rodgers situation. How long is he out? How long is Mason Rudolph going to be the quarterback? If I had to say, I would say Baltimore will find a way to win this division just because with Mason Rudolph, if he's having to start multiple games, it's going to really impact the chances for the Steelers to hold them off. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if I want to be fun, I'm going to say Cincinnati. Why not?
I like it. Yeah, it just storms all the way back at 1.3-8 to make it.
Yeah, why not?
Insane. AFC South, they have the Colts and Jags are 1 game apart, but the Texans, who have quietly had a good defense, and Davis Mills has been playing decently well in this mop-up duty. And who are you picking to win this division?
Man, the Daniel Jones injury really scares me. A fractured fibula, not something.
Anthony Richardson, what are you talking about?
Yeah, we've seen that. Is he even healthy? I know he broke his orbital bone or something during warm-ups during a game or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, this is a tough one to pick because I have no faith in the Jaguars, but I really have no faith in the Texans to figure things out. Even though Davis Mills has surprisingly played better than C.J. Stroud this year, which is wild to say.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the Colts to find a way to hold on, even with the injury. I have no faith in the Jaguars and what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I don't either. They're so all over the place. But the Colts,
Mm-hmm.
if Jones can't play right now, their backup quarterback is Riley Leonard. I have no faith in that. So give me the Jags if that's the
Gosh,
case. Otherwise, I think the Colts they should be able to do it just enough. But man, this is a weak division right now as it
yeah,
stands. I don't think that there's a power team in this one right now. And I know that the Colts are 8-3. They can beat the Chiefs. I just don't see it. There are
yeah.
two other divisions in the AFC with at least a 2-game division lead, and it's not who we expected. You have the
Mm-hmm.
Broncos at 9-2, 2 games over the Chargers, and we've already talked about the Chargers' issues, and then you have the Patriots 10-2 over the 7-4 Bills. Are these ones not necessarily locked up, but the door is just barely open?
Yeah, I think that these ones are just barely open. I would say it's as close to a lock with these two as you can get right now. I mean, the Chargers have been atrocious lately. The Buffalo Bills, the situations there, the losing games that they shouldn't lose. I think, yeah, the Patriots and Broncos, I think, are probably the two easiest teams right now, maybe in football to pick, division wise.
The team that you think headed into it has the most to prove in order to make the playoffs between the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs.
I mean, I want to say the Chiefs just because, the consecutive AFC championships, the Super Bowls. I'm going to say the Baltimore Ravens just because of all the talks that you have throughout the last few years of Lamar Jackson being one of the best players in NFL, but not being able to get it done in the playoffs. He's got to find some way to get to the playoffs and at least get there a chance at making the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Now I think most approve. I might lean towards the Bills because this Bills team feels awful lot like it did a couple years ago, where everything rides on Josh Allen,
Mm-hmm.
and if it works, it's going to give them a chance to win. But if it doesn't, then they're not going to win, and it's just too much on one player in this ultimate team sport. So,
Yep.
quite a bit. The Chiefs losing again to the Cowboys. We'll get to that here in a second, like the Cowboys itself, but the Chiefs have to win out. We talked about their schedule, and it presents itself well, but
Mm-hmm.
they have not put themselves in position where they should be. I mean, this is
No.
and part of it is they put the stat up last year, like how good they were in one score games, and then how bad they are this year. Well, that's called regression to the mean. You can't win them all, and you can't lose them all. But over the
Yeah.
long run, you're going to see a team like the Chiefs who are better off than not. But
Yep.
clearly, they have got to get rid of Matt Nagy. It's terrible. What are
Yeah.
we even
The
doing?
offensive play calling has been really bad.
Yeah, well, I think part of that's still Andy Reid, but Nagy's schemes and his coach, it's so outdated. He's move on.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, let's look at the NFC. We're going to start with the Cowboys. 6-5-1 against the Eagles. 8-3-1 in the division, but they beat the Eagles. They beat the Chiefs. I mean, the Cowboys have made some massive improvements on the defensive side of the ball that we have talked about. Oh, that is their biggest issue. How legitimate are you buying the Dallas Cowboys right now?
I mean, the getting Quinn Williams was great. Logan Wilson is an upgrade from linebacker that they've had. The biggest thing that player that came back that no one's talking about is Siobhan Rebel. Was a third round pick this year. Was hurt towards ACL, in the middle of last year. If he was healthy, he would have been a first round pick in the NFL draft. Him in the secondary, if Deron Bland is healthy, definitely improves that secondary than from what they've had. So I think they are legitimate just because that offense is going to put up points. Good luck stopping CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, Javonte Williams this year, Jake Ferguson. The Eagles have not looked good. They're winning, but they're not winning good games. And that game against the Cowboys last week really showed that the Eagles are not the team to beat in the NFC. I think that there's a potential that the Cowboys could run down the Eagles and win this division because now, I mean, realistically, you're only about a game behind just because you do have the tiebreaker right now. So I think that there's a chance that the Eagles trip up and that the Cowboys could win this division.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a team that doesn't have a whole lot of rhythm right now or
Mm-hmm.
routine with the Eagles and the Cowboys. I will say they're I don't I want to see them put this together consistently on the road versus at
Yeah,
home. They're just a different team when they're at home right now. But I definitely would say watch out for the Cowboys. I don't say that as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, but I just see it as a team that has actually made those improvements. It
yeah.
looks a lot better. Now, oh, go ahead. Sorry, I think I
And
cut you off.
in like the schedule, I mean, for the Cowboys to finish out the season, besides the Lions next week, you got the Vikings, who
Mm-hmm.
I shared that picture of the stats for JJ McCarthy compared to Jamarcus Russell through their first 6 games. It is definitely not great for them. The Chargers, who are reeling right now, the Commanders, who depending on if they want to rush Jaden Daniels back, is going to be with Marcus Mariota as their quarterback, and then the Giants with the backup, with all the injuries. Yeah, Jackson Dart will be healthy, but you realistically could go 4-1 in the
Mm-hmm.
last 5 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It's I mean, and I imagine I haven't looked at the Eagles' schedule, but I imagine it's tougher because they won the division last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to have tougher teams towards the end of the season, I would imagine. Nope, never mind.
Yeah, yeah.
I
They
mean,
get the
you
Bears
got the Bears, which
and the
that could be an
Bills.
interesting game. Yeah,
But 2 games
but
against the Commanders and the Chargers and the Raiders is pretty.
yeah,
So
but
it's gonna. But who would you rather face in the playoffs? What legitimate or building in the playoffs like the Cowboys? I mean, they probably have to go on
yeah,
the road if they
no,
don't win the division. But
I would rather play the Eagles just because they have not showed really anything to be scared of.
yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. All right, the Bears, Packers, Lions. Right now, 2 losses separate them. Overall, there is that tie that's gonna really help out the Packers when it's all said and done. Are you at least buying the Bears as a legitimate division contender?
No,
I don't either.
that defense.
That's 8-3. It's so wild to look at right now.
Yeah, and they are the Vikings of a couple of years ago. They are winning all the close games except for like the first week of the season. They are winning all these close games, but that defense is going to be a huge problem for them going into the playoffs because right as of right now, I don't know who their linebackers are. Tremaine Evans hurt, you know, Sewell's hurt. Their rookie from this year's hurt. The Edwards is hurt. They're starting. Their top 4 linebackers are all hurt right now. Yeah, you are probably going to get Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon back this week, but I don't think there's enough defense on that team. And Caleb, yeah, he's played better this year, but there's just still something about him where I'm not buying it right now.
Yeah. Well, and you look at the team that is the Packers right now, and the way they went into Detroit yesterday and dominated. Which, for the record, Detroit, you got to get rid of those third down pieces of paper. That's the lamest thing I've seen an NFL team do for third downs. But this Packers team, they still have a really good defense. When Josh Jacobs is healthy, this is a balanced offense. If Jordan Love is making good decisions, this seems to me like it's their division to win, especially after you beat Detroit on the road. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I
It,
think so.
it definitely should be their division to win. It just depends on what offense of the Packers we're getting week in, week out. It's been so up and down lately that it's hard to really pinpoint which Packers team you're going to get. Yeah, defensive wise, you don't have to worry about it. But when it comes to the offensive side, it's trying to figure out if we're going to get the good Packers offense like we got yesterday, or we're going to get the bad Packers offense that we saw against the Browns or the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. I think getting Christian Watson back has been a massive boost to that offense. The downfield threat has really helped. He's played really good since he's been healthy, but not having Tucker Craft is really affecting that offense.
Yeah, Luke was great. I had a couple big plays or good plays yesterday, so
Mm-hmm.
that was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tucker Craft is a really big weapon for, especially for Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can look at the division that's probably the weakest in all of the NFL in the NFC South, and it looks like I think Baker Mayfield may play, but I think you just got to take a beat and then let Teddy Bridgewater play this next game.
Yeah.
But the Panthers are 6-6, but all of these teams are not good right now, and the Bucs have lost 4 of 5. They were 5-1 at one point, and now here we are.
Yeah, the injuries have caught up to them, and it's definitely showing. And now, yeah, if I'm Baker, I'm not playing in this game. I know you want to, but for longevity for the rest of the season, pushing for a division, a decent playoff seed, you have to sit out this game. Let Bridgewater go. I mean, AC joint, granted, I'm not sure. I can't remember if it's on his throwing or non-throwing shoulder. It's not something he's tried to play through it before. We've seen it, and it did not end up well for him. It ended up him getting ousted by the Browns. So he has to sit out this game because you still got 2 games left against the Panthers. You lose this one, you go even. It's okay. You still got 2 games at the end of the season against the Panthers for the division. Sit out this one. Play, don't hurt yourself even further.
Yeah, I agree. Well, then you get to the NFC West, and it's a division that it's a game separated between the Rams and Seahawks, although the Rams own the tiebreaker. But this just seems like it's the Rams all day. This seems like the Rams are on the path to the NFC Championship game right now.
Yeah. Yeah. The offense, defense is playing really good. The secondary has been very surprising for this team. I didn't think the secondary was going to be this good. Yeah, this is a team that you absolutely do not want to see in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Well, there you go. That's all the division predictions. Those last 2 were kind of the ones that you didn't want to talk about. You didn't have to talk about. All the other ones were still a little bit up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, tell me any final thoughts, man, before we kind of sign off.
No, got nothing.
All right. Well, if you have not already, please hit the subscribe button. If you enjoy an independent sports podcast, you can always jump in the chat, put your thoughts, your questions, your predictions as well. We'd love to get those a shout out any time that we do this. Now, we try to go live about 2 times a week, so you can always watch those after the fact. But I guess we'll see you all next time.
See ya.
See ya.